Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Nate Talks About January movies. January is so exciting. No, in all honesty, January makes me hate movies. I swear to God, as someone who loves film and loves watching movies, January every single year is just filled with like stinker after stinker. And it's always just like every production company, it's like, hey, this movie's not going to make any buzz. No one's going to care about this movie. So let's just push this crap out at the beginning of the year. Trying to find something at the theater. Every now and again, you'll get some pushover films from 2023 that had limited releases. I saw an advertisement for a pre-screener of a slasher film. And every once in a while, you decide to take that risk. You decide to go and hope that you're going to find some like gem, something that's exciting or new or fun or subversive. And that's what I was hoping that this movie would be. And the film I'm going to be talking about with you today is Founders Day. Founders Day is directed by Eric Bloomquist. A small town is shaken by a series of ominous killings in the days leading up to a heated mayoral election. So it's January, it's a slasher movie. I was hoping to watch something entertaining or so bad it's good, and this movie is terrible in every conceivable way. This is the worst thing I've watched this year, and it's only the second movie of the year that I have watched. I reviewed Night Swim recently, and at least that movie was so bad it was entertaining in moments. This doesn't even have that. It is so try hard to be subversive and Wes Craven Scream-esque, but none of the political commentary is intelligent. It feels like it's written by like a middle schooler. Everything is so on the nose. The comedy doesn't work. It tries to be deadpan and absurdist and a way that like it's seemingly trying to come across as possibly so bad it's good or campy, but it's so lame. The framing of the cinematography is horrible. The most interesting part of this movie, a woman in front of me poured her drink on the woman that she was sitting next to, and the two of them got into a pretty heated verbal argument, and it was the most interesting part of my entire evening. And so I'm going to try to break down this steaming pile of garbage for you all today. So the beginning of the film, we jump into this small town and we're introduced to our lead character, Allison, who is dating one of the girls in this small town, and the two of them are out going on a date together, and we're introduced to all of these different characters throughout the town. There's a mayoral election going on, and some of the kids that Allison knows are the children of the mayoral candidates, one of them being her girlfriend. And so we're introduced to this whole political landscape. We get a scene of the two opposing mayoral candidate supporters in the streets screaming at each other, which I don't see this happening in a small town, and obviously they're trying to be very on the nose to try and be subversive, and they're hanging out together. They end up going onto this bridge and find out that Allison is leaving town with her dad soon, and her girlfriend, who is the mayoral candidate's daughter, is very upset by that. She's really sad that she's leaving. The two of them are on this bridge. A person in this wild-looking mask holding a gavel comes up and beats the girlfriend to death and throws her off a bridge. And so we cut to the next day. Allison is completely distraught. We're jumping back and forth between different characters in the town and the heated debates between the mayoral candidates about whether or not they need to hold this festival in the town after one of the mayoral candidates' kids has just been murdered. And the entire film is this slasher breaks out on the loose, killing people in the town, and we are trying to figure out who the murderers are. So as I said, this movie is absolutely abysmal in every conceivable way. For starters, the performances. Aside from our lead actress and the actor that plays her dad, everyone in this movie is god awful. It feels like the Hallmark Channel made a slasher movie. The dialogue delivery, the performances, everyone is just so nonchalant about everything. And I've read some positive reviews of this movie who are like, you don't get it, it's camp, it's supposed to be camp. None of it comes across as camp whatsoever. It comes across as very sloppily directed, and it comes across as these actors had no direction and kind of just did whatever they want. And in the moments that are trying to be absurdly funny, there's this couple at the school who are constantly doing these pranks, and they both look like they're 30 and they're in high school. I think they're supposed to be in high school. Their performances are horrible, and they try to be like really edgy, and they're saying all this really stupid dialogue dialogue that does not come across as funny. It's just really sloppy writing. The actual slasher sequences in here, which are very few and far between for an hour and 40+ minute movie, there are virtually no deaths in this film, and the sequences where characters are killed off for the most part are pretty lazy. There's one scene in particular where a person gets stabbed multiple times, and I really liked the visual effects and the way that it looked. But most of the other kills in this film are so poorly shot and edited, I just really didn't care. The pacing in this thing is absolutely horrible. We get the initial murder at the beginning of the film, and nothing else happens with the slasher for the first 35 minutes of the movie to possibly 40. It's just introducing character after character after character and jumping all over the place. And we really want to spend more time with our lead actress who is at home with her father after her girlfriend just died. And we want to sit with her and feel her experience because she is the crux of the film. And instead, we jump to all these nonsensical characters that don't move the plot along and that just have dialogue that feels like it's meant to be there to just fill runtime. And I checked out of this thing in like the first 35 minutes. It was so bland. There was nothing suspenseful about it. I think of a movie like Scream, where you have an inciting incident like Drew Barrymore's death at the beginning of that movie. And it sets off this series of events, and every character that is introduced is unique and has personality, and there's so much about each one of those characters, but you never move far enough away from Sydney to get away from what she's experiencing. They do a great job of adding those other characters into the mix in a way that's natural and in a way that makes you care about those characters. And there's a lot of intentionality in it. And it's also campy and silly, and there's great lines of dialogue that come across as hilarious, and it balances really well. This movie, every scene where it just has a dull stretch of 15 to 20 minutes, just horrible dialogue that adds up to nothing. You jump to a scene with this lady cop who's constantly eating candy and saying just really off the wall stuff to try to land some joke, and it never works. They try to make the current mayor this like overblown caricature, and there's nothing funny about her character. The performance is just so bad, and the same goes for the male mayoral candidate. I already forget all these characters' names, and I just watched this movie like 2 hours ago, and I already forgot everyone that was in the movie because it was that forgettable. And then the most irritating part about this movie is that it's trying to be smart. It's trying to be like, oh, look, this is the way that American politics works. Everybody switches sides all the time. You never know who the good and the bad guys are. Do supposedly good people have to do bad things to try to get themselves in positions of power? And it's like, all of it feels like if a 14-year-old was writing a government paper. It's just that sloppy and lazy. There's nothing new or inventive or exciting about any of the stuff that is conveyed in this movie. And I hate films that try to act smart that are so incredibly stupid. The last like 25 minutes of this, a character comes into frame and says why they committed a murder, and then it literally flashes to a sequence of them committing the murder that you've already seen. It's like it treats its audience as if they're idiots and that they don't remember. When the character literally looks at you and says, I committed this murder, you don't have to flash back and give a whole nother 2 to 3 minute sequence showing the murder take place. It's just the most lowest common denominator, lazy, annoying form of filmmaking that exists, and I hated every second of this movie. I don't have anything positive to say about this. Skip it at all costs. So have you seen Founders Day? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I've only seen 2 movies this year. They've both been bad, but nothing touches this. This is absolutely abysmal. I would avoid it at all costs. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.